Snow shivered from the ramparts of Winterfell's first keep, shaking loose in silver cascades that glittered in the pale moonlight. The frost-laden air held every sound with crystalline clarity. The distant creak of a winch at the main gate, the sough of wind through arrow slits, a direwolf's mournful howl rolling across the godswood. Eddard Stark stood upon the battlements alone, gloved hands resting on the stone as he gazed southward toward an horizon lost in endless white. His thoughts were cold as the night, brooding, heavy, and unmoving. Yet the dull ache in his chest would not fade. Bran. The name was prayer and wound alike. 3 weeks had passed since the boy's fall, and still Maester Luwin could only speak of bruised spines and uncertain miracles. Ned breathed slowly, his eyes closed, but each breath tasted of failure. It should have been him beneath that tower window, him broken on the stones instead of his bright-eyed son. Bootsteps scraped softly behind him. He did not turn. The gait was uneven, as though the visitor carried a weight he was unaccustomed to bearing. Ned knew the measure of every man presently quartered in Winterfell. This tread was neither Northman nor Karstark nor Umber. No, this belonged to a glittering peacock clad in Kingsguard white. Lord Stark. Jaime Lannister's voice was low, uncharacteristically so. The Kingslayer rarely bothered with discretion. His laughter usually rose above the din of a hall, bold as trumpets. Tonight it crept, shivering, between the walls like an errant shadow. Ned opened his eyes but did not turn.
Ser Jaime.
For once, I find myself searching for words, the Kingslayer said, halting 2 paces behind. The wind plucked at his cloak, white silk swirling like a restless ghost. Ned heard leather creak, the faint clink where gold thread bound the pale fabric to gilded pauldrons. A lion caught in winter's jaws. One might think you've forgotten how to boast, Ned answered, voice flat as frozen ground. I've not come to boast. Jaime released a long breath. He moved to stand beside Ned, forearms braced upon the parapet. His green eyes, bright even in night's gloom, searched the snow-striped courtyard below where torches guttered in silent vigil. I've come to confess. Confession. The word stirred Ned like a sudden clang of sword on steel, yet his face betrayed nothing. We are not in a sept, he said. The old gods care little for whispered secrets, and the 7 care less for me, Jaime replied, wryness fraying his hushed tone. But he swallowed whatever jest hovered on his tongue. Still, you are the man I must face. Ned studied him. In the rigid set of Jaime's jaw lay tension rarely seen. His usual ease was gone, replaced by something raw and tremulous. Shadows etched hard lines into his hands where they gripped stone. Snowflakes caught on golden hair, melting where they touched the warmth of skin. You cannot imagine, Jaime murmured, how heavy a secret can grow in silence. Then speak, Ned said, though a cold foreboding coiled around his heart. Jaime's breath clouded between them. It was me, he whispered at last, the words no louder than a dying ember. I pushed your boy from that tower. The wind seemed to die. Even the torches below flickered as though strangled by sudden vacuum. Ned felt his pulse thrum like a war drum in his ears. Boom, boom, boom. Each beat railing against disbelief. Yet he had known. In the quiet moments beside Bran's bed, with Catelyn's fingers entwined in his, suspicion had gnawed. Wolves sensed predators long before swords were drawn. He forced his voice to calm. You, Jaime nodded, gaze fixed upon the courtyard. He saw something he ought not to have seen. What thing? The question tasted of iron. Silence held for a breath, 2, 3. Jaime's throat worked. A secret that could destroy my sister, and all that we have built. The Queen, Ned said. It was no query. Memory flashed. Catelyn's recounting of Bran's fall. The distant roar of Cersei's laughter in the Godswood that day. Pieces slid into place like iron doors clanging shut. Jaime's hands tightened on the parapet until his knuckles blanched. Snowflakes melted on the heat of his confession, trickling as tiny rivulets down the stone. I never meant the boy to die. His voice cracked, ragged and low. It was instinct, panic, thought it happened too quickly. Ned felt fury rise, but it was cold fury, the sort that did not scorch but froze. Instinct? You meant to murder a child to keep your sister's bed warm. Jaime flinched only slightly. I regret it. Regret. Such a small word to weigh against the stillness of Bran's unmoving limbs. Ned's gloved hand drifted to the pommel of the sword at his hip, but he did not draw. Not yet. Why confess now? At night, on a lonely wall far from the king's ears. Jaime exhaled, the sound near a shudder. Because secrets fester. Yours is a house of honor, Stark. Honor and truth. I see it in your eyes, in the way your men walk. The lie corrodes me. Snow gusted sideways, hissing along the stone. Somewhere a raven croaked. Ned could almost hear the beating of its wings upon the dark. You think confession buys absolution? He asked. I think it buys honesty, at least between us. Jaime's eyes finally met his, green against gray. In them Ned found no smug gleam, only naked trepidation. You could strike me down this moment. I would not raise a hand. Ned's fingers tightened on the frozen stone. Duty warred with rage, law with vengeance. To kill a sworn brother of the Kingsguard was treason. Yet Kingslayer or no, the man had attempted murder of Ned's son. Eddard Stark had once beheaded his own bannerman for breaking faith. How could he stay his hand now? Jaime seemed to read the tempest behind his eyes. Robert would not forgive you, he said quietly, nor the realm. Yet I would not fault a father. Do not speak of my rights. Ned's voice was a blade drawn slow. Thunder rumbled far off, a sullen drumbeat beyond the wall of night, though skies above Winterfell were clear. Jaime looked to the dark horizon. I speak because I must. He pushed away from the parapet, pacing a step, then turned. You deserve more, Stark. Not only the how, but the why. Ned stepped from the battlement, boots crunching frost. Say your why. Jaime inhaled sharply, as though bracing for a blow. Bran saw the Queen and me together, in a manner no brother and sister should be. His voice broke upon the last words, scattered fragments of pride falling at Ned's feet. For a heartbeat Ned forgot breath. The very world seemed to tilt. You lie. My sister and I have been lovers half our lives. Jaime's words were steady now, each syllable a stone dropped into a still pond. Jon Arryn knew, or suspected. We feared his questions. And now Robert's hand has come north. Icy dread crawled Ned's spine. The realm, Robert's children. Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen. His mind reeled, mapping bloodlines anew. Filthy whispers whispered by Varys, or Littlefinger's sardonic grin. Jaime watched him with something like pity. Do you see why Bran had to fall? I see only cruelty. Ned's voice trembled, but his hand on the sword hilt did not. Cruelty in truth, perhaps, but also self-preservation. Jaime's breath steamed in moonlight. Had Robert learned the truth, he would have killed my sister and our children. I could not allow it. Ned's head swam. The ground felt thin beneath his boots. If what you say is true, Robert's heirs are mine, Jaime finished quietly. Silence settled heavy upon them, smothering even the wind. Ned turned away, staring into the night as though the snowbound world might offer guidance. Bran's laughing face filled his mind, replaced by the memory of the boy's still body, pale and bruised, breathing shallow. He felt the old gods stir within Winterfell's roots, their faces carved in weirwood, silent and stern. Justice or mercy, honor or pragmatism. Behind him, Jaime waited, cloak snapping softly. Do you mean to call your guard? Ned closed his eyes. He saw Robert, boisterous, trusting. Saw Cersei's icy smile at a feast table. Saw Sansa's hopeful gaze lingering on Joffrey's golden curls. The realm teetered on blade's edge, balanced by secrets and lies. One word from him could plunge it into fire. But silence would be complicity. He opened his eyes to the frigid dark. Snow drifted across his boots, collecting in patterns like white runes. Slowly, he drew ice-flecked breath. Come at dawn, he said, voice muted. We will speak again in the Godswood. Jaime's shoulders lifted, release or regret Ned could not tell. At dawn, then, he turned and walked away, footsteps fading down the stair. Ned remained, alone with the night and with choices that could shake kingdoms. Dawn seeped over Winterfell's walls like spilled milk and blood, painting battlements rose and gold. The Godswood lay hushed beneath a veil of frost, its weirwood heart tree craning bone-white branches against a sky still the color of slate. Ned knelt beneath its boughs, gloved hands resting upon a gnarled root. Red sap oozed from the carved face like drying tears, and he sought counsel there, though the old gods spoke only in silence. Footsteps crackled across the thin crust of snow. Ned did not look up until Jaime Lannister stood before him, cloak billowing, white armor luminous in the newborn light. No guards accompanied him. He came unarmed save for the long sword sheathed at his hip, its lion-headed pommel winking. You chose sacred ground, Jaime said softly. This is where truth must be weighed, Ned answered, rising. His breath plumed before him. The weirwood's crimson leaves fluttered overhead, and somewhere a raven cawed, harsh and jarring. Ned faced the Kingslayer fully. Last night you confessed attempted murder, incest, and treason. Do you stand by your words? Jaime's chin lifted. Ido. Ned's hand rested upon the wolf's head pommel of his own sword. Not ice, the great sword remained in the armory, but still honed to killing edge. Then hear mine. In Winterfell, justice is the Lord's province. By rights, I should strike you down and send your head to King's Landing bearing witness to your crimes. Jaime's green eyes did not waver. Do as you must. But what of the realm? Ned asked, voice rough. Should Robert learn his heirs, our false war would engulf us. Innocence would burn for your sins. Innocence burn whenever lions and wolves bear fangs, Jaime said. Snow clung to his hair like shards of gold-flecked quartz. Would you deny him truth to spare bloodshed? Or is your honor forged of softer metal? Ned's jaw tightened. Do not lecture me on honor. Then let us speak of mercy. Jaime's voice cracked like a sword drawn from scabbard. Kill me if honor demands, but send your maesters to King's Landing with word of a sudden fever. Anything. Let my sister grieve and carry on. Spare the children. The children who are not Robert's, Ned spat. Jaime's gaze drifted toward the heart tree. They are still children. A hush fell. Snowflakes swirled lazy as ash, settling on cloaks, on branches, on the red-stained face of the weirwood. Time stretched, as though the gods themselves held breath. At length Ned spoke, voice a whisper. I will not lie to my king, yet I cannot damn the realm on vengeance alone. He drew the sword at his hip, steel hissed cold, and laid it upon a nearby stump between them. Oathbreaker you may be, but you are still sworn brother of the Kingsguard. I will grant you one chance to atone. Jaime's brow furrowed. How? Return to King's Landing, Ned said, and convince your sister to send the children north as wards. Let them live amid wolves and learn honor's price. Robert will see it as sign of trust. And you, keep far from Bran Stark and from any tower whose secrets beg murder. Wards, Jaime echoed, incredulous. You would have lions cubbed among wolves? Better cubs among wolves than basilisks in a dark pit. Ned's eyes were flint. Agree, and I keep silent for now. Refuse, and I write to Robert this very hour. Jaime's lips parted, closed. Conflict rippled across his handsome features. Fear for Cersei, for the children, for himself. He turned away, pacing beneath the bloody-leaved limbs, breath ragged. When he faced Ned again, there was steel in his eyes. I will speak to the Queen, he said, voice low, but she will never agree. Then let her refuse, Ned replied. She will reveal her own guilt by defiance. Jaime shook his head. You play a Game of Thrones now, Stark. I play for my son's life. Ned sheathed his sword. And perhaps for yours. Snow poured suddenly, thick and heavy, muting sound. Jaime extended a hand, White gauntlet presented palm upward in reluctant pledge. Ned stared at it, then clasped forearms in the warrior's grip. Wolf and lion entangled beneath Weirwood's gaze. Sap dripped like red tears upon their joined wrists. "Swear it by the old gods and the new," Ned commanded. "I swear," Jaime said hoarsely. "I will try." The words hung in frosty air, fragile as spun glass. That night, ravens lifted from the rookery, wings beating against the falling dark. Some bore routine messages, grain tallies, smithy repairs. One carried words Ned penned with trembling hand, sealed with wax-stamped direwolf. But its destination was not Robert Baratheon. Instead, the raven flew to Stony Shore, then south with winter's winds, bearing a letter addressed to Howland Reed in the neck. A friend in truth, a secret keeper. In coded lines, Ned spoke of lions, bastards, and broken boys, of winds that might carry war unless checked by wiser heads. He could not face this storm alone. As dawns passed to dusks, Jaime lingered at Winterfell, delaying the royal party's departure. He walked the godswood often, always beneath wary watch. Cersei eyed him with sharpened suspicion, but he kept his silence. Bran's condition remained unchanged. Yet an unseen pulse seemed to stir in the child, quickening like a seed beneath snow. On the 5th day, ravens returned. From the Neck, from White Harbor, from Moat Cailin, a chorus of caws in the rookery. Ned pored over scrolls by candlelight, their coded replies weaving counsel, warning, and hesitant hope. Outside, snow melted, then refroze, leaving the courtyard slick and treacherous. Children slid across it laughing, wooden swords clacking, unaware of the blades unsheathed in their name. Winterfell breathed a fragile peace while lions padded restless in its halls. At midnight, Ned stood once more upon the battlements, cold wind combing iron-gray hair. Below, torchlight danced upon walls where sentries paced. Above, the night vast and dark yawned indifferent. He closed his eyes and prayed, to gods old and nameless, that dawn might bring a path through tangled honor and looming war. Far away, a single raven wheeled against the moon, feathers black as spilled ink, bearing answers yet unknown, from Casterly Rock to King's Landing, across a kingdom sleeping on kindled tinder. And beneath the tower where Bran had fallen, unheard by any man, the boy drew a breath deeper than before, lids fluttering, half aware of dream shapes. A three-eyed crow, a golden man, a wolf's howl echoing down a star-hung corridor of ancient trees. The first thread had been tugged. The tapestry of Westeros shivered, strands loosening imperceptibly, waiting for the next pull that might unravel kingdoms, or weave them anew. Morning reddened the sky like spilled wine over fresh-fallen snow. In the yard, horses stamped clouds of steam while retainers loaded wagons. The king's party would depart within the hour, bearing Ned south to King's Landing. Jaime stood beside a dappled destrier, white cloak clasped, helm beneath his arm. Across the yard, Cersei watched him, eyes narrow as slits of frozen green glass. She sensed change she could not name. Ned emerged, clad in stark gray trimmed with the black of morning. He approached the Kingslayer quietly. Jaime inclined his head. No words passed, their bargain balanced upon a blade's edge too sharp for speech. The king's laughter boomed from the stables, Robert ignorant of fractures spider-webbing beneath his throne. Children clambered into wagons. Arya scowling, Sansa radiant, Joffrey smirking. Bran's litter remained, his body yet comatose, to be guarded by Lady Stark until Maester Luwin deemed him strong enough to move. As wheels groaned and banners snapped, Winterfell's gates yawned open, and the column began its slow crawl south. Wolves howled farewell. Ravens croaked upon the walls. Ned glanced once back at the first keep, at the tower window glinting high above, where a boy had flown and almost died, and his jaw set. Jaime guided his horse alongside, snow crunching gutter ice beneath hooves. "South is warmth," he murmured, voice barely carrying overwill rumble. "Yet winter follows." Ned's gaze did not waver from the road. "Then let us pray our secrets do not freeze the realm." Neither spoke again. They rode beneath the portcullis, out into the wild white world. Behind them, Winterfell's great oak doors clanged shut, a sound like destiny crashing into place. Somewhere in the unseen distance, storms gathered of steel, of truth, of wrath long slumbering. And at their center walked a wolf of honor and a lion of guilt, bound together by a whispered confession that might save a realm or doom it. Hours stretched into days upon the King's Road. Pines bowed beneath snow's weight, shedding plumes as the column clattered past. Night fires crackled under star-washed skies. In their glow, Ned watched Jaime from across the camp, studying the restless flicker of his gaze, the way he paced like a caged cat. Secrets chafed the Kingslayer, and each mile south tightened the leash. Sansa sang softly beside the flames, her voice trembling in the cold. Joffrey listened, polite smile thin as parchment. Arya practiced with needle, shades dancing on tent canvas. Robert drank and roared, chasing shadows with laughter that failed to reach his eyes. Ned's sleep came fitful. Dreams clung. Bran falling, Jaime's hand upon the boy's tunic, a lion's roar echoing through weirwood corridors. He woke some nights with a start, heart hammering. Yet each dawn he saddled and rode, duty stitched into every stride. On the seventh day, ravens found them, missives stamped with stag and lion. Ned received one bearing the hand's silver clasp, Jon Arryn's seal reused, summoning him before the king upon arrival. Another, rimmed in Lannister crimson, found Jaime. The Kingslayer read it by torchlight, jaw tightening. He sought Ned that night, words brittle as frost. She refuses. Then war comes, Ned said, throat dry. Unless you hold your tongue, honor will not let me. Jaime closed his eyes. Then perhaps I should have killed the boy outright. The words hung like gallows ropes. Ned's hand closed around his sword hilt. Jaime's eyes opened, anguish flickering in the green. Forgive me, he whispered, more plea than command. Ned's reply was cold wind through pine. Pray Bran wakes, then seek forgiveness from him. The column wound ever south, entering lands where snow softened to slush, then vanished altogether beneath pale winter sun. Yet the chill between wolf and lion grew. Each camp brimmed with unspoken dread, as though the king's laughter masked thunder rolling ever closer. On the 15th evening, as orange twilight bruised the sky, a rider approached from the south, dust-gray cloak whipping behind. He bore the sigil of House Tully, fins of silver trout on crimson field. Ned met him beyond the circle of wagons. My lord, the messenger gasped. News from Riverrun. Your wife. Wind snatched the rest. Ned's stomach clenched. Tell me. Lady Stark has taken the dwarf, Tyrion Lannister. She rides east to the Eyrie. Ned's vision fractured. Cat's determined face, a dwarf's sly smile, the hiss of swords being drawn. Jaime, he thought, a lion's fury unchained. He whirled, eyes searching campfires until they found the Kingslayer, lit red by flames. Jaime met his gaze across the distance. Had he heard? Did he know? The air between them crackled with foreboding. In that heartbeat Ned felt the tapestry tear, threads snapping. Bran still in bed, Catelyn abducting Lannister blood. Jaime's confession unreported. Kings and queens entangled in incest. Honor, Ned realized, was a blade with no hilt. Grasp it and you bleed. He turned back to the messenger, jaw a line of steel. Thank you. Rest and eat. But his mind churned with storms. He must choose, again and soon, between truth and peace, justice and ruin. Above, the twilight bled into night. Stars kindled like watchfires in the vault of heaven, silent witnesses to the fragile treacheries of men. Somewhere far north, Bran Stark dreamed of ravens and roots, of wings stronger than stone. And in that dream he flew, unbroken, toward an uncertain dawn. Mist curled low across the King's Road, whispering between iron-shod wheels and the stomping hooves of weary destriers. It ghosted through Ned Stark's beard and tugged at the gray edges of his cloak like chill fingers of forewarning. Dawn had broken pale, but the column moved under a mantle of unease darker than any winter night. The messenger's tidings, Catelyn had seized Tyrion Lannister, rode at Ned's shoulder like a specter no prayer could banish. They halted before noon beside a frozen stream swollen with meltwater. Cooks set iron kettles over fires. The king's squires herded shaggy-backed mules. Men-at-arms stamped stiffened feet. Steam rose in white gusts as horses drank. Ned dismounted beside his grace's pavilion, but his gaze flicked toward Jaime Lannister across the camp. The Kingslayer stood isolated, arms folded, cloak of white silk clenching around gold-rimmed pauldrons. A storm gathered behind those green eyes, and Ned braced for lightning. Robert's laughter shattered the hush. The king lumbered out, muttering about cold pissing on his temper, goblet already in hand. He shouted for Boar and reached to clap Ned on the back, but paused, studying the grim set of the Stark's jaw. "What news twists your face like old leather, Ned?" "My lady wife has taken Queen Cersei's brother captive," Ned said, voice measured. "Word came last night." Robert blinked, as though struggling to fit pieces. "Cat took the imp? 7 hells. Why?" "An attempt on Bran's life," Ned said quietly. A dagger traced to Tyrion. Across the snowy hollow, Jaime's head lifted like a beast scenting blood. Robert followed Ned's gaze. "And there stands the lion's fang," the king muttered, lips whitening. "What say you, my hand?" "That I must write to Winterfell and Riverrun at once, to stay my lady's hand if I can." Ned kept his tone calm, though thunder boomed in his chest. "I beg leave to send riders south to warn Lord Hoster Tully. This matter must be weighed with care." Robert drank deeply, foam flecking black curls. "Do as you see fit." Yet his eyes drifted toward Jaime, and Ned saw the king's shoulders stiffen beneath ermine-trimmed velvet. A knot of old love and newer resentment tangled in Robert's throat. He swallowed hard, but the bitterness lingered. Ned turned away, Quill already scratching a parchment on the flap of a supply wagon. Words flowed steady though his pulse raced. Pleas for restraint, for Bran's sake, for the sake of the realm. As he sealed wax with direwolf, hoofbeats thudded behind him. "Lord Stark," Jaime's voice, cold and taut as a drawn bowstring. Ned faced him, eyes steeled.
"Sir Jaime."
"My brother has been taken," Jaime said, controlling each syllable. "By your lady wife. So I hear. Did you order it?"
"No."
Jaime's gaze raked Ned's features, searching. "Yet you do not seem displeased. My son yet lies broken in Winterfell." Ned folded wax-stamped parchment into a leather tube. "Forgive me if my face lacks joy." A muscle jumped in Jaime's cheek. "Release the imp," he said, voice raw. "Else blood will answer blood." Ned felt the promise coil like a viper. He spoke low. "Threaten my wife again, Kingslayer, and you'll find the North remembers more than snow." Jaime's hand twitched near sword hilt but stilled. "The North may remember, but lions do not forget." With that he spun and strode toward the picket line, white cloak snapping. Snow fell by afternoon, thick flakes slanting through pine. The king's road narrowed into an avenue of ghost-white trunks. Under their canopy the world hushed to the crackle of wheels and creak of axles. Sansa rode in a litter beside Queen Cersei, asking timid questions about King's Landing fashions. Arya slipped down the line atop a shaggy Garen, practicing balancing on one foot in the saddle until a horsemaster scolded her. The royal children kept to their gilded wagon. Joffrey's sullen profile flashed behind embroidered curtains. Ned rode near the vanguard, silent as frost. He relayed letters to his swiftest outriders, one to Moat Cailin, one on a river skiff from White Harbor, a third bound east through the mountains to the Eyrie, begging his wife to hold Tyrion safe and reveal the truth to him alone. But ravens could outfly horses. Soon all Westeros would buzz with rumor of Tully and Lannister earls poised for war. Ned's every breath tasted of ashes before the pyre. That night their camp hugged the walls of the Crossroads Inn, shuttered tight for winter. Smoke spiraled from tilted chimneys. Robert commandeered the common room, demanding ale and hot pies. Soon minstrels strummed rebec and dulcimer beneath low beams while courtiers bickered over dice. Ned slipped outside to the yard, seeking quiet. Snow-muffled laughter drifting from slitted windows. Torches hissed in iron brackets. By the stables, Jaime Lannister leaned against a post, helm at his feet, pale mane flecked with snow. His white cloak pooled like spilled milk. When Ned moved to pass, Jaime spoke without lifting his head. "My sister demanded we ride east. Cut your wife off before she reaches the Eyrie." He nudged Straw with a boot. I refused.
Ned halted.
"Why?" "Because Catelyn would be dead before sunrise, and Tyrion too. The Vale is no place for lions." A hollow laugh. "I told her we must await the hand's word, and the king's justice." Jaime raised his eyes, green depths fractured by lamplight. "That was for your sake, Stark, not hers." "Justice," Ned echoed. "Does your sister know the meaning? Does anyone?" Jaime pushed off the post. "When I was 17, I thought it meant a sword in Aerys' back." His smile was a broken thing. "Ask your friend Howland Reed what price he paid for justice beneath the Tower of Joy." Ned's hand drifted toward the dagger at his belt. Jaime spread empty palms.
"No estil."
"Only truth, if such a thing still holds worth." Ned's breath fogged between them. "Speak, then." "My sister plots. Even now ravens cross the sky between King's Landing and Casterly Rock. If Tyrion dies in the Vale, she will cry for war, and my father will answer." Jaime's gaze speared Ned. "Tell Lady Stark to keep him alive. He is our last fragile bridge." Ned weighed the words. "Would your father heed a bridge if it stands in his path to vengeance? Perhaps not." Jaime stooped, scooped a fistful of snow, squeezed until water trickled through fingers. "But a Lannister dead beneath Tully roof, my lord father would flay Riverlands to bedrock." He dropped the snow. "And if your honor drags the crown into it, dragons might wake." Ned thought of Aerys, of wildfire beneath Red Keep. He thought of Cersei's secret, of 2 princes and a princess not born of Robert's seed. "I have no wish for war," he murmured. "Then send men to the Eyrie. Make your lady see sense." Jaime's eyes flicked toward the inn's bright windows. "Send Sansa if need be. She loves the queen's son. Let her plead mercy." Ned's lips thinned. To use his daughter as envoy felt a dagger thrust at father's heart. Yet he had once sent Lady Lyanna's bones home in a silent cart. He knew sacrifice. "I will think on it. That is all I ask." Jaime turned, vanishing into whirling flakes. Inside, song rose, bawdy and off-key. Robert bellowed for more wine. Ned lingered in the yard until night swallowed the last crimson ember of twilight, wondering how many unseen threads snarled around him. Winterfell's quiet corridors murmured with distant hearthfires. Bran Stark floated in a dream of snow-laden towers, but he felt no cold. He drifted through endless gray corridors where torches burned blue, casting shadows of giant wolves across carved stone. Somewhere a voice called his name, soft, like wings. He followed, feet bare yet weightless, past suits of rusted armor and arrow loops that opened onto star-freckled night. At the heart of a winding stair, he saw a crow perched upon a weirwood branch growing from the floor, eyes threefold black. "Fly," the bird croaked. "I can't," Bran said, though when he looked down he found no body, only mist. "Remember the fall?" the crow insisted, flapping, scattering crimson leaves that blossomed midair. "Remember the man of gold and the lioness of green. Remember the push." Bran's world shuddered. Stone tilted. Wind howled. Images rushed tower wall, rough hands, sky turning end over end. Then pain like shattered glass. He cried out, but the crow's wings beat harder. "Fly or die, Brandon Stark." From distant depths Bran heard wolves howl. He wanted to run toward them, but he had no legs, no ground. He had only will. He stretched it like arms, like wings, and soared. He shot upward through Winterfell's ceiling, through icicle-studded roofs, through clouds rippling silver under moon. Far below, the castle lay as a child's toy, snow-dusted and small. The walls' torches traced glowing necklaces around parapets. In the gods' wood the heart tree blazed white-hot. Bran flew until dawn kindled eastern sky. When light pierced his eyes he woke, truly woke, lungs sucking air. He felt the weight of blankets, smelled rushlights. His neck ached, but he could turn his head. Maester Luwin's chamber spun as heavy lids fluttered. He croaked a sound. The owl on Luwin's perch hooted, flapping. Footsteps thundered outside, shouting, hurried feet, then darkness again. In that brief spark, Bran remembered the crow, remembered the man of gold. He felt the tremor of fate reverberate far away down King's Road. Southward, Ned's convoy crossed the headwaters of the Green Fork. Fields lay fallow under hoarfrost. Villages seemed carved of bleached bone. At each ford they found banners of houses small and large, vassals of Riverrun marching to war or flowing home with rumor. Some bowed, others eyed Lannister cloaks with hard suspicion. On the 5th day after the crossroads, a party of mounted outriders thundered up the column. Their leader cloaked in muddy crimson and blue, Ser Desmond Grell of Riverrun. Ned and Robert met them beneath a sentinel oak. Wind rattled bare branches overhead. "My Lord Hand," Grell said. "Lady Catelyn has lodged Lord Tyrion at the Eyrie. Lady Lisa Arryn calls for a tribunal in her sky cells." His breath fogged. The Kingslayer's father rallies on the Golden Tooth. Host of 20,000, marching east. Robert swore a furious oath. Ned felt the oak's bark bite his palms. Jaime's jaw set, eyes flaring. He swung onto his destrier, white cloak streaming. "You damned fool woman," he snarled under breath, heel digging. His horse shot toward the rear guard. Gold and white vanished between pines. Robert's gaze fell on Ned, wild with drink and betrayal. "Your wife has loosed the lion," he said, voice shaking. Ned bowed head against the roar of wind. "I will ride to Casterly Rock if I must. Speak with Lord Tywin. Seek peaceful redress." "Peace," the king spat. "Tywin Lannister shits gold, but he feeds on blood. He'll never release that host until his son sits free." "Then let him come," growled Ser Roderick Castle, gray whiskers bristling. "The North will meet him." Robert's look could have cracked stone. "The North is leagues away, old Ser. My spear is here." He slapped a ham-like hand on his chest. "And I've no taste for chasing wolves and lions through every bloody mountain pass." Ned lifted his head. "Grant me leave, your grace. Let me ride ahead to King's Landing." "I will counsel the Queen." Robert barked a mirthless laugh. "The Queen? Gods. Ned, you think Cersei will share a campfire with you now?" He sheathed his wine-stained skin.
No.
"You stay beside me. We ride south together. See who runs first, the wolf, the lion, or the stag." His blue eyes flickered with old fury. "And if my realm must bleed, better it bleeds while I hold the reins." As the king stalked away, Ned caught Desmond Grell's sleeve. "Tell my wife. Tell her to keep Tyrion alive, no matter the cost."
Ser Desmond bowed.
"Aye, my lord." That night tents snapped under Westerly's howling off the Sunset Sea. Ned found sleep elusive. He paced outside his canvas, boots crunching iron-hard turf. He saw Sansa's silhouette inside her tent, reading by candle, innocence unaware. Arya's peaked canvas nearby quivered with sword practice in secret. Down the line, Jaime Lannister's white banner lay limp, its owner gone to some distant shade of wrath. Smoke curled toward a starshot sky. Ned recalled Jon Snow atop Winterfell's wall, swearing night-as watch vows without a father's blessing. He recalled Benjen lost beyond the wall, Lyanna lost beneath a sea of flowers, and Catelyn now holding a lion's cub above a cliff. One slip, and storms would drown them all. Honor, he thought, had led him to this edge, but honor now required nimble feet, not iron steps. He must dance between blades or perish upon them. Morning saw the royal convoy crawl through Hardscrabble Hills toward the Riverlands border. A gust carried scent of smoke. Not campfire smoke, but char, acrid and thick. Scouts galloped back. A holdfast ahead, burned. Robert ordered the column to brace while Ser Barristan Selmy and Lord Renly rode forward with 100 red cloaks. Ned followed, bowstring tight across saddle. They crested a ridge to behold blackened timbers jutting like dragon teeth from smoldering ashes. Dead sheep sprawled bloated, steam venting from ruptured bellies. Women knelt wailing over charcoaled house frames. A boy with soot-masked face limped among corpses. The king's banner snapped overhead as Robert dismounted, surveying carnage with grim jaw. Ned knelt by a corpse, fingers brushing arrow shaft fletched with striped yellow and red. "Lannister colors," he said. Robert's glare hardened. Tywin wastes no breath. A rider raced from the south road, a gold and crimson standard fluttering. Jaime Lannister led, helm off, brow damp. His steed lathered white. He pulled up hard before the king. Guards raised spears. Jaime threw reins aside. "I did not order this," he said, voice rasp. "My father acts without my counsel." Robert advanced slow, chest heaving. "Your father shits when he chooses, not when counsel bids it." He jabbed finger at the smoldering beams. "These are my subjects." Jaime's eyes flicked to Ned, pain and fury warring within. "Let me ride to father alone. I will bring him to heel." "With fire," Robert snarled. "I have fire enough here." He turned to Barristan. "Ready the host. By the morrow we march west, toward the rock." Ned stepped forward. "Your Grace, to divide forces now invites Cersei to seize the capital. If Lord Tywin moves east and we ride west, we leave King's Landing ripe for Queen's whim." Robert's face mottled red. "So the hand would have me sit fat in the Red Keep while lions feast on riverlands? I am no craven." "No," Ned said, "but you are king. A king wields men as sword, not the other way round." Silence pooled. Wind hissed through ruin. At last Robert exhaled, angry breath clouding. "Then speak, Ned. What would you do?" "Send me ahead with a small guard," Ned said. "I will reach King's Landing swift. There I shall call the small council, recall Ser Tywin to court, and hold the queen to account. You follow with main host at measured pace. If Tywin spurns, you'll have cause and strength both." Robert's gaze drifted to the dead boy sprawled by a toppled gate, curls stiff with ash. "Measured pace," he muttered, tasting words like sour wine. "And while we measure, Lannisters measure blood." Ned met his eyes. "Give me 10 days, your grace." Robert's shoulders sagged, weight of crown bending spine. 10. He turned to Jaime. "Ride with him." Jaime's head jerked in surprise. "Aye, to ensure father heeds."
Robert stabbed fingret ned.
"And you, Hand, ensure the lion's cub returns to den." Biddle flew. "Fail, and I hang you both by entrails." The decree made, Robert strode toward his horse, cloak flaring. Ned swallowed cold. Jaime regarded him grimly.
"Strange bedfellows, stark."
"Not beds," Ned said. "Graves, perhaps." They gathered leaves for the dead, laid bodies in smoking rubble with silent prayers. Snow mixed with ash, fashioning gray shrouds. When pyres were lit, flames crackled under dull sky, tongues of orange devouring grief. That night Ned chose 24 riders. Ser Roderick Castle, Jory Castle, Harwin, Vayenpool's lean son. He left Sansa in the king's care, Arya too, though she begged bitterly to ride as courier. Ned held her close, whispering that she was his heart and hearts must beat safely. She did not weep. Arya Stark was steel even then. As moons rose twin over charred beams, Ned mounted a dusky red courser. Jaime approached astride a white destrier, armor clipped under traveling cloak, white shield slung across back. No words passed. They spurred east onto the burning night. The riverlands rolled by in starlit hush. Fallow fields, reed-lined dikes, barns shuttered tight. At isolated crossroads, peasants scattered like quail at the sight of Lannister and Stark banners riding in uneasy tandem. Word of burned holdfasts passed from hovel to herrick. Farmers spoke of mailed men bearing lions on breast, torching grain. Ned saw fear in every stooped back they overtook. On the third dawn they approached Fairmarket, set where the blue fork bent eastward. Smoke hazed the horizon again. As they trotted into town, Ned's heart sank. Wagons overturned, shutters splintered, bodies dragged into gutters. Not all bore Lannister arrows. Some were Tully colors, others House Baddocks or Blaintree. War had erupted like wildfire, unrestrained. Bells tolled from the sept as they guided mounts through alleys clogged with debris. At the market square they found a curious sight. Townsfolk gathered around a lone dwarf perched atop a cask, wrists manacled but mouth grinning wide. "Tyrion Lannister," Ned gasped. "7 hells? My wife sent him south?" A plump knight in Arryn blue stepped forward. "Lord Hand," he said, bowing. "Ser Lyn Corbray, escort. We ride for King's Landing per Lady Stark's command, to present Lord Tyrion for royal justice." Tyrion raised shackled hands. "Royal justice," he echoed, waggling fingers. "Preferably without sky cells. Moisture up there plays devil with my hair." Jaime vaulted off his horse, eyes blazing. "Little brother," he breathed. Tyrion's grin faltered. "Ser brother, might I convince you to refrain from gutting my escort? They have been reasonably polite, aside from restraining me Lee. Who a mutinous pup." Jaime whirled on Corbray. "Release him." Ser Lyn's hand rested on hilt. "Not without writ. This is writ enough." Jaime drew White Lion blade, but Ned stepped between, hand raised. "Stand down," Ned commanded. "No more blood." Jaime's nostrils flared. "He is my brother, and my lady's prisoner, pending the king's justice," Ned said, voice iron. "We share cause now, Kingslayer. Let legal trial decide." Tyrion surveyed both men. "My angels of mercy, how delightful." He glanced at Ser Lyn. "Might we retire indoors? Dead men's perfume offends." A tense bargain followed. Ned pledged his honor for Tyrion's safety, promising to deliver him before the Iron Throne within 10 days. Jaime reluctantly sheathed steel. Ser Lyn removed manacles. Tyrion flexed wrists, rubbing raw skin. "Fetch me wine," he announced to no one in particular. "My throat's dusty as Dornish coast." Night that followed brimmed with hard negotiation. Jaime shared bread across a tavern table with Tyrion, Ned, and Ser Roderick. Words were low, measured, each man weighing realms in every syllable. Tyrion's wit flickered, but behind levity shone razor intellect. "We face 3 choices," Tyrion said, swirling cup. "Return me north and ignite the lion's fury. March me to court bound like traitor and risk father's wrath. Or let me ride free to plead my innocence." "Innocence," Jaime muttered. "I did not try to murder the Stark boy," Tyrion said, tone suddenly grave. "I may be many things, but child killer is not among them." Ned studied the dwarf's earnest gaze. He found no guile, only weariness. "Then whose dagger was it?" Tyrion tapped lip. "A mystery, one I shall enjoy unraveling, if I live." Jaime leaned closer. "Ride with us. We 3 present ourselves before council. Father may rage, but he will not move while I, his heir, stand beneath the Iron Throne." Tyrion arched a brow. "How brave of you to volunteer my neck as shield."
Ser Roderick cleared throat.
"If we quarrel more, daylight will find us."
Decide.
Ned folded arms. "We ride at dawn together to King's Landing. The king will judge, and before him I will speak my truth." Jaime's lips thinned, but he nodded. Tyrion sighed. "Well, then pour more wine. If I must face gallows, I prefer stumbling." By dawn's blush they rode again. 3 banners intermixed: direwolf, lion, and falcon of Arryn. Frost-crusted saddle leather. Tyrion wore a shaggy calfskin cloak that swallowed his small frame. He hummed bawdy tunes. Jaime scowled at every verse, yet each mile stitched a fragile piece. When sun stood high, they crested a rise and saw the glitter of the Blackwater rush in the distance, winding like molten silver. King's Landing's walls loomed hazy beyond olive groves, banners whipping atop towers. Smoke drifted in lazy ribbons from 1,000 chimneys. Gulls wheeled overhead. Ned drew rein. "There it is," he murmured. "Pit of vipers." Tyrion shaded eyes. "Home, sweet home." He turned to Jaime. "Sister will be livid you fetched me unscathed." "A greater mercy than you deserve," Jaime said without bite. At the city gate, gold cloaks clustered, spears aloft. Captain Yano Slint trudged out, cloak snapping. Lord Hand, we were not told of your return, nor of these. He eyed Lannister armor. The Queen commands. The King commands. Ned cut, jaw set. Open the gate. Slint hesitated, eyes darting to Tyrion, to Jaime's lion helm. But Ned's glare brooked no refusal. He barked order. Portcullis thudded up. The party clattered into cobbled streets reeking of tanneries and fish. Onlookers gasped at sight of White Cloak riding beside Direwolf Sigil. Some cheered, others whispered. They wound through Flea Bottom across Mud Gate, up serpentine lanes until the Red Keep's crimson walls loomed sheer. Guards snapped to attention. Bronze portcullis rose. Ned led them into the outer yard where the Tower of the Hand cast long shadow. From a balcony above, Cersei Lannister appeared in green silk, hair gleaming, eyes twin shards of emerald. She froze at sight of Jaime beside Stark, and of Tyrion swinging down, bowing. Ned dismounted, cool gaze locking with hers. He felt webs tremble across the city, spiders scuttling, secrets stirring. In that instant, the game's board was set. Queen with hidden children, King marching north with host, Lion Lord mustering west, Dwarf claiming innocence, Bran Stark stirring in Winterfell, and Ned, bound by honor and dread, stood at the nexus. Cersei descended marble steps, skirts whispering. Gold cloaks formed cordon. Small council courtiers hovered like crows. She halted before Ned, lips curving icily. Lord Stark, she said sweetly, and my beloved brothers returned at last. What tales ride with you? Jaime bowed, though eyes never left hers. Tales to chill or warm, sister, depending on throne's temper. Tyrion coughed, preferably warm. My toes froze off crossing the trident.
Cersei Ester smolderet nederst.
Where is his grace? I expected him before this rabble. Robert marches behind with host, Ned said. He arrives within a fortnight. A fortnight, she echoed. Then we shall keep fires stoked. Ned stepped forward. Your grace, I seek immediate audience with the council. Matters of realm security demand haste. Cersei's smile tightened. The council convenes at dusk. You and I shall speak sooner, alone. Her gaze flicked to Tyrion, contempt surfacing. See my brother housed comfortably, and watched. I thought you'd never ask, Tyrion said. Guards escorted the dwarf toward Maegor's holdfast. Jaime moved to follow, but Cersei caught his arm. They exchanged rapid whispers, argued, before Jaime wrenched free, striding after Tyrion. Cersei watched him go, jaw clenched, then turned back to Ned. Walk with me, she commanded. Without waiting, she swept into shadowy portico. Ned followed, boots echoing. Inside, marble corridors unfurled, minotaur labyrinth of silk-draped columns and torchlit alcoves. Cersei paused before a tall window overlooking Blackwater. Ships' masts bobbed below, tiny matchsticks. You bring my brother a prisoner, she said, voice low. You ride with my other brother as ally. Explain, Lord Stark.
I seek truth, Ned replied.
If Tyrion is innocent of plotting Brandon's murder, he will be freed. If guilty, Brandon, she whispered, feigning confusion. Ah, the cripple. You still chase that ghost. Ned's eyes hardened. His spirit rides with me always. Cersei studied her reflection in glass. Spirits haunt men of heavy conscience. Yours must weigh like stone. Does yours weigh nothing, your grace? Her lips curved. Mine is a bird, flights of fancy. Speaking of birds, ravens flutter from Riverrun, Moat Cailin, the Vale. Doves seldom carry such tidings. War need not follow words, Ned said. Then let us bind mouths. Cersei stepped closer, perfume sweet and cloying. Return my brother unharmed, call Lord Tywin's host back, and I shall convince the king to grant Bran Stark a royal stipend. Nurses, maesters, all. A small price. For attempted murder? For peace. She laid hand on his chest, nails grazing. Think of your daughters. Think of Sansa's betrothal. Ned brushed her hand away, jaw tight. I think of honor. Cersei's eyes glazed with something fierce.
Honor.
Such a pretty cloak. Does it keep you warm at night, Lord? It shields me from men who think the world their meal. She laughed softly. Then starve or feast, choice is yours. But know this, lions do not fear lean wolves. She swept past, skirt snapping. Ned watched her vanish into shadows. Cold settled in his bones. Dusk leached color from ramparts as bells told council hour. Ned entered the small council chamber, pine-domed ceiling arching overhead. Lord Peter Baelish lounged by hearth, expression sly. Grand Maester Pycelle dozed upright. Renly Baratheon whispered with Ser Barristan. Varys floated near windows like a plump pink moth. Cersei took Robert's chair at table's head. Jaime stood behind her, white cloak draped, helm resting against polished floor. Tyrion sat farther down, flanked by silent gold cloaks, ankles shackled again though hands free. Ned claimed seat opposite Queen. Silence thrummed. "The hand will speak," Cersei announced. Ned rose. "Lords and ladies, grave news waits this council. Lord Tyrion Lannister stands accused of conspiring to murder my son, Brandon Stark. Lady Catelyn seized him for trial in the Vale. I intervened and brought him here that the king might judge." Murmurs rippled. Littlefinger steepled fingers. "Bold Lady Catelyn," he purred. Ned continued. "In the same breath, I condemn the raids on Riverland's villages by men in Lannister livery. Innocents burn while lords feud. This must cease." Cersei's voice cool. "When traitors hold my blood hostage, retaliation is justice." Tyrion snorted. "Oh, certainly, burn children for me, sister." Jaime's hand fell on hilt.
Ned lifted palm.
"Lord Tyrion asserts innocence. I propose he be held under guard in the Red Keep until King Robert returns to judge. Meanwhile, a royal decree shall command Lord Tywin to stay his host and present himself at court within 1 moon's turn. Failure will brand him rebel." Cersei's lips thinned. Renly raised brow. Varys nodded amiably. Littlefinger smiled like cat. Pycelle rasped, "A prudent balance." Jaime's voice cut. "My father will not bend knee to threats." "Then bend neck to sword," Ser Barristan murmured grimly. Cersei rose in a rustle of silk. "Enough. I accept Lord Stark's proposal, on condition my brother's comfort befit his station." Tyrion clapped lightly. "Here, here."
Ned bowed.
"So shall it be recorded." Council broke in flurry of whispered intrigue. As members filed out, Jaime cornered Ned by great oak door. "You bind my father?" he hissed. "I bind war," Ned said. Jaime's eyes were green storm. "Pray the rope holds." Tyrion ambled up, shackles clinking. "If it frays, keep head inside walls." He winked, then waddled toward corridor escorted by guards. Ned stepped into torchlit hall. There Varys awaited, hands tucked. "A masterful dance, my lord," he whispered. Yet spider senses tremble. Threads fray in dark. "Speak plainly," Ned said. "An adder warms our bosom." Varys smiled. "Best keep children close." He drifted away, robes whispering secrets. Ned exhaled. Behind him, council doors slammed like final judgment. Night cloaked the Red Keep, but torches guttered on ramparts, their flames fluttering, uncertain, beset by hidden winds. The next days bled like ink. Ned met with city watch captains, shored loyalties, dispatched ravens commanding Tywin's recall. He visited Tyrion's quarters, lavish but guarded, questioning him about the dagger. The dwarf pled ignorance, offering wit in lieu of answers. Ned studied blades still locked in Winterfell's chest, dragonbone hilt, Valyrian pattern. He recalled whispers of Prince Baelish once losing such a blade to Tyrion. He summoned Littlefinger. Peter sauntered into the solar, gray-green doublet gleaming. Ned displayed sketch of dagger. "That trinket again," Littlefinger sighed. "Yes, I claim Tyrion won it from me, but in truth I lied, to wound Lord Tully's pride. I lost it to Robert. The king gifted it to one he favored." He traced patterns in air. "Why so eager to know?" Because it nearly ended my son. Ned's gaze cut. You lied. A harmless boast. Peter's shrug was silk. Perhaps your dagger left Robert's possession that same night. Perhaps to someone else's belt. Who?
Ned prest.
Littlefinger's smile sharpened. Follow the king's trail of cups. Then he inclined head and slipped out like smoke. Ned's thoughts spiraled. Robert's own dagger? Gifted to whom? His mind returned to Tower, to Jaime's push. If Tyrion was innocent, perhaps dagger was planted to distract. By whom? Cersei? Varys? Already webs tangled. Meanwhile, Jaime haunted practice yard, hacking straw men to splinters. Squires gawked at grace of his blade, yet Ned saw tension in every stroke. Lion pacing cage.
At sunset Ned approached.
Jaime halted, breath frosted in cooling air. Any word from the rock? Ned asked. Jaime wiped brow. Father marches, but slowly. Scouts say he camps near Ashmark, waiting tidings. If your raven reaches him, perhaps he'll listen. Perhaps, Ned echoed. Jaime sighed. We place stones across the board, stark, but others tilt the table. Ned thought of Cersei, of wine-heavy kings stumbling homewards. Then we must brace. They trained until dark, steel ringing, sweat steaming. Each parry forged grudging respect, if not friendship. When torches guttered, they limped to armory, shoulders aching. That night, Ned dreamt of Bran again. Boy leaping branch to branch, raven on shoulder. The child turned, blonde hair streaked gold. Not Bran, but Joffrey, sneering before a throne of blades. Behind him, a lion and wolf lay dead, throats slit by shadow.
Ned awoke, pelshamring.
Dawn's first light broke. A raven tapped at window, scroll sealed crimson. Lord Tywin refusing summons, citing insult. He would come with sword, not supplication. A second raven from Winterfell bore Maester Luwin's shaky hand. Bran had woken. Ned's heart leapt and plunged. Joy warred with dread. Bran's waking meant truth could be spoken, but truth might ignite powder long primed. He kissed scroll, whispering thanks to old gods, then donned doublet. Cersei summoned him before breakfast. She stood in solar above gardens blooming frost-kissed roses. Jaime lingered near fireplace. His eyes flicked between them. My father refuses your insult, Cersei said, voice brittle. He comes to the capital. You would meet him with swords. I would meet him with laws, Ned said. If he breaks them, swords will follow. Cersei stepped close. When last lions fought wolves, we skinned your forebears and fed entrails to pigs. That was 2,000 years and riverlands parted you, Ned answered. Times change, she smiled. But lions do not. A servant rushed in, breathless. Your grace, message from Maester Pycelle. Prince Joffrey has taken ill. Cersei paled, sweeping by the servant toward door. Jaime trailed. Ned followed, though unseen. Instinct pricked. They hurried corridors to Prince's apartments. Guards parted. Inside chamber, Myrcella wept by Joffrey's bed. Tommen clutched Septa's hand. Pycelle bent over Prince, who lay sweating, face waxen. Cersei darted to bedside. What malady? She demanded. Pycelle dabbed cloth. A chill, your grace. Fevered, lungs rattled. Cersei's eyes snapped to Jaime, wild.
Ned watched, gears tuning.
Fever no blade, yet terror gripped queen as though dagger poised over secret heart. Joffrey's parentage. He stepped forward. Fetch my maester from Winterfell convoy. He cured my son of lung fever last year. Cersei's head jerked, suspicion flaring. But Jaime nodded. Do so. Ned exited swiftly, heart pounding. Each child's ailment could betray incest secret if royal physicians pry lineage. Yet more pressing scroll weighed his tunic, Bran awake. The boy would remember fall or not. Outside, gulls cried over Blackwater. Ned looked south where dust cloud rose, Robert's vanguard crossing Kingsway. Days early, the king approached Red Keep with host and temper both. War loomed, truth stirred, and a child's memory might decide fates of kings. Ned Stark squared shoulders, breathing salt wind heavy with scents of smoke, roses, and blood. The game quickened. He must choose his next move, swift, sure, and merciless, or watch realm burn upon honor's pyre. A river of dawn light spilled across Winterfell's snow-crowned towers, gilding the rooftops in hues of pale rose and citron. Catelyn Stark stood at Bran's bedside, fingers laced tightly through Maester Luwin's, heart fluttering like a captured bird against her breast. Bran's eyelids, once motionless as frost-rimmed glass, trembled. First a ghost of motion, then a definitive flutter. In the hush of that simple human miracle, the bedchamber's hearth crackled in approval, sparks popping like jubilant stars. He drew a breath, deeper and steadier than any since his fall. Tiny fingers gripped the quilt, and his head rolled on the pillow to face the struck-dumb maester.
Catelyn svalou da sob.
"Bran?" she whispered, daring hope with every syllable. His eyes opened, distantly at first, then sharpened, pooling with the green-gray of the wolfswood. Recognition dawned. "Mother," he said, the word rasping across his tongue like wind over a winter-barren plain. Tears blurred her vision. She kissed his forehead, tasted salt and relief. When she drew back, Bran's gaze flicked to Luwin. "I fell," he murmured, confusion sliding across his face. "I remember falling." Luwin's quill scratched frantically across parchment even as he leaned forward. "Do you remember before the fall, my lord? Anything at all?" Bran frowned, lids lowering halfway. Images rippled behind his eyes, stone walls, the clamor of wind, a man in white, a queen's startled gasp. His young mind traced shapes but found no purchase. "A tower," he whispered, voices loud, then the sky. Catelyn's pulse jumped. "Whose voices? Sweetling?" He stared at the ceiling beams as though answers might hang between rafters. But memory slid away like ice on glass. "I don't know." Maester Luwin set his stylus aside. "Let him rest, my lady. The mind heals like the body, slowly, layer upon layer." Catelyn kissed Bran once more, but the seed of dread she had carried these past weeks, small, hard, unyielding, remained wedged in her heart. Far to the south, dawn's sister light crept through stained glass panes of the Red Keep's great hall, limning swords of the Iron Throne in bloody gold. Eddard Stark knelt within the echoing expanse, head bowed beneath the unseeing eyes of sculpted dragons. His mind raced through news that had arrived on charcoal-winged ravens during the night. Lord Tywin had refused the summons, Robert's vanguard would breach the gates within hours, and Bran, his Bran, had awakened. The last of these should have buoyed him, but each flicker of relief was snuffed by the storm cloud looming over the realm. A lion paced beyond the gate of the gods, a stag thundered behind. Wolves skulking in every shadow of intrigue, hungry for truth. Ned touched his palm to the cold marble, as though to steadify the ground beneath his choices. Doors at the far end groaned open. Peter Baelish's footfalls clicked over the flagstones, measured as a miser counting coins. "Praying for strength?" he asked, voice echoing. Ned rose. "Praying for the realm." Littlefinger smiled with half his mouth. "Then you pray for something that has seldom answered to gods, old or new." Ned's eyes narrowed. "You play with daggers fashioned of rumor, Baelish. Remember that some blades bite their wielders." "True enough." Peter's gaze drifted to sunlight glimmering on the throne's swords. "But whatever else they do, they always draw blood." He laced fingers behind his back. "Robert is near the city. I thought you might wish to greet him at the Lion Gate before Cersei's silken snares coil around his mood." "I will," Ned said, moving past. Littlefinger fell into step. Outside, the courtyard buzzed. Smiths hammering breastplates, pages scurrying with lances, gold cloaks tightening saddle cinches. Word of Tywin's defiance had spread like grease fire, and every man seemed to smell war in the wind. Ned and Peter crossed the drawbridge to the inner gatehouse. Bells tolled from September of Baelor, their resonance rolling across rooftops toward the Rose Road where dust clouds billowed. Robert's column. The king rode at its head AST. ride a charger black as starless night, antlered helm gleaming. As he spurred through the gate, Ned saw exhaustion smolder beneath layers of ale-fueled bluster. Robert yanked off his helm, sweat-plastered hair curling. His blue eyes found Ned. "Is the dwarf alive?" he barked, swinging down. "He is, your grace, awaiting your judgment." Robert nodded, then glared toward the red keep spires. "And the rest of this bloody viper nest?" "Contained for now." Ned's voice was steady, but behind words pulsed the memory of Bran's half-formed recollection, of guilty lovers, of Cersei's veiled threats. Robert's lips peeled back in a grimace. "Then let us flush it out. Summon council." Before Ned could answer, Cersei descended from a balcony above the yard, flanked by guards in crimson cloaks. Joffrey stood beside her, cheeks flushed from recent fever but eyes bright and haughty. When Robert spotted them, his scowl deepened. "Your Grace," Cersei called, voice honeyed but brittle. "The city welcomes its king." Robert tossed his helm to a squire. "Save your courtesies. Summon the council to the throne room." She curtsied with stiff grace. "As you command." Yet her gaze lingered on Ned, sharp as a needle poised above silk. High above the bustle, Tyrion Lannister lounged on a cushioned window seat overlooking the training yard, a goblet perched on his knee. Chains still adorned his ankles, but the velvet chamber and decanter of Dornish red suggested captivity in name only. A pair of gold cloaks guarded the door while another stood at his elbow, looking alternately bored and nervous as Tyrion recited bawdy Casterly Rock limericks. When horns announced the king's entrance below, Tyrion set aside his goblet. "Ah, the royal peacemaker returns." He rocked forward, chains clinking. The guard eyed him. "Sit, my lord," the gold cloak muttered. Tyrion smiled benignly. When the king calls council, even dwarfs feel the tug of curiosity. He tugged at the manacle. "Unshackle me, lad. I doubt I'll hobble past 6 paces before you spear me." Reluctantly, the guard produced a key. Moments later, Tyrion limped to the balcony rail, observing Robert's arrival, Jaime's hurried approach, Cersei's icy composure. He caught the tension coiling among them and felt a pang of homespun dread tighten in his chest. "A storm, and no sanctuary," he muttered. He reached into his doublet, withdrawing a folded parchment. A raven's message smuggled in that morning, bearing a thumbprint of wax too muddy to denote sender but the script unmistakable. Varys's thin, slanted hand. "The spider's nets tighten. Cling to your wits, for wits are webs." Tyrion read it again, then tucked it away. When the gilded doors of the throne room slammed shut, Robert sprawled into the iron throne, chain mail creaking. Cersei took her place at his side. Ned, Renly, Varys, Pycelle, and Littlefinger filed before the dais. Jaime remained at the rear, white cloak luminous. Tyrion was absent, left under guard. The high septon's cushioned seat stood empty, its occupant bedridden with gout. "My lords," Robert began, voice echoing off vaulted arches. "I've ridden hard to douse a blaze, and I find the fire spreads." His gaze pinned Cersei, then Jaime, then Ned. "Tywin Lannister marshals swords against my riverlands. Lady Catelyn Stark seizes his son. I want truth before me, or by all gods, I'll drown the lot in wine and start anew." The hall held its breath. Ned stepped forward. "My king, the trouble began with an attempt on my son's life. A dagger, Valyrian steel, once belonged to you, found its way to an assassin's hand. My lady pursued the trail, believing Tyrion responsible." Robert frowned. "I gave that blade to, by the gods. Who did I give it to?" He glared at Pycelle. Pycelle cleared his throat. "I recall, your grace. At the tourney celebrating Prince Joffrey's 12th name day, you gifted that very dagger to, I believe it was Ser Jaime." Cersei's head snapped. Jaime's composure flickered. "No," Jaime said evenly. "I never touched such a prize." Littlefinger coughed as if dislodging bone. "In fact, your grace, I had claimed the blade before losing it to Lord Tyrion, or so I once boasted." Robert slammed a fist onto the armrest, swords clanging. "Boasted? You fools bandy lies while kingdoms bleed. Varys fluttered forward. If I may, sweet majesty, this confusion may be but a veil drawn by darker hands. Perhaps the dagger was a pawn in a larger game. Robert glared. Speak sense. Varys bowed. The assassin carried no badge, no coin. If sabotage of House Stark provoked House Lannister's wrath against House Tully, who benefits? The question hung like a noose. Cersei's lips curled. The realm wearies of riddles. Facts, my king. My brother is held in chains. My father's bannermen are slaughtered. Shall we wait while honorable men quibble over daggers and dreams? Ned's knuckles whitened on belt. Your father's men burned small folk alive. Men die when wolves howl. They died before any wolf lifted its head, Ned countered. Robert shot to his feet. Enough! He pointed across the hall. I will have peace. His gaze fixed on Jaime. Ride to your father. Bid him stand down his host and ride to the city. He will answer before the crown. Cersei's eyes widened. Jaime's jaw flexed. If I go, he said slowly, and he refuses? Robert stepped down from the throne, mail clinking. Then bring me his answer in chains. But if you draw swords, do it for your king, not your pride. He wheeled toward Ned. And you send riders to Riverrun, call back Stark banners massing at Moat Cailin. Show me a realm still ruled by law. Ned inclined his head, though his heart hammered at the prospect of releashing northern houses already tasting war. Cersei swept forward. And my brother Tyrion? Remains under guard, Robert barked. Until we sift truth from manure. He pointed at Littlefinger. And you watch the crown's purse. War costs coin I'd sooner spend on whoring. Littlefinger bowed, lips twitching. Robert ascended the steps once more, voice softening. My friends, these are grim days, but we will not fall to folly. Go now, do your duty. The council dispersed. Ned walked at Jaime's side through colonnades open to salt air. Below, gulls screeched over White Sword Tower. Jaime halted at an unlit brazier, gauntlet hand resting on cold iron. There are roads beyond words now, he said. If my father refuses, the lion's den will roar. Ned searched the man's face. Scarless, handsome, but carved by disquiet. Convince him, Jaime. The realm does not need blood spilt for pride.
Bride.
Jaime smiled thinly. You know little of Tywin Lannister. He touched the pommel of his sword. Better to argue with a mountain. He turned, cloak swirling, footsteps fading into shadow, while ravens launched from every tower, some bearing Stark sigils north, others crimson west. Bran Stark whispered to a direwolf pup curled against his leg. The boy sat propped on embroidered pillows, a lattice of sunlight falling through frosted pane across his blankets. Catelyn watched from a carved chair, hands twisting linen. Rickon, wide-eyed, stood beside the bed hugging a ragged bear. Bran stroked the pup's white fur. He found me, Bran said dreamily, in the dark when I was falling. A wolf with wings. Maester Luwin scribbled notes. Dreams can guide healing, my lord. Bran looked to his mother, eyes steady now. I remember a man in white armor, and someone else. A golden man. Catelyn's breath caught. Golden. Bran's brow furrowed. He said, the things I see, I cannot speak. Luwin leaned forward. Who, Bran? Who said? But Bran's thoughts drifted like smoke. The world blurred. I must fly, he murmured, eyelids drooping. Sleep claimed him. Outside the bedchamber, Catelyn found Roderick Castle waiting with a scroll. He unrolled it.
Stark vax, Niets hand.
She read quickly. Hold faith, call banners home. Bran wakes. I labor for peace. Trust in me, cat. Tears welled, relief tempered by longing. Roderick cleared throat. Moat Cailin's guard stands ready, my lady. Do we call them back? She nodded, though fear flickered. We obey him. Ned will not fail us. But as she turned away, she wondered if any single man, no matter how honorable, could restrain the tide of war once rivers of hate began to thaw. 3 nights later, Ned stood upon one of Maegor's high ramparts, staring at ship's lanterns bobbing on the Blackwater. Renly Baratheon approached, green mantle whipped by evening breezes. "Lord Stark," he greeted. "You look as though ghosts ride that river." "Perhaps they do," Ned said, rubbing cold from knuckles. Renly leaned on the parapet. Robert grows impatient. Tywin's reply has not come, and ravens from the east speak of airy lords mustering small companies. He paused, glancing sideways. "My brother's mood sour under inaction." The Queen whispers his ear. Ned's heart sank. What counsel does she give? The usual broth: Stark ambition, Tully schemes, northern secession. Renly's mouth twisted. "You know Cersei." Ned breathed deep. "Then we must hasten truth." Renly hesitated. "There is another truth," whispered these walls. "Naga's bones, Stag's shame. Call it what you will." His eyes pierced Ned's. "About the children." Ned's stomach turned. "Rumors. Rumors bloom from buried seeds." Renly straightened. "If there is rot at the trunk, we must cut before the fruit spoils." "It is not my place." "Your place is beside the king," Renly snapped, softer than anger, harder than plea. "Save him." He pivoted, cloak snapping, boots echoing away. Ned stared after, heart pounding with secrets too heavy to set on parchment, yet too dire to keep cloistered. Within the tower of the hand, Ned trimmed a quill, the motion rhythmic, though his mind juggled daggers. A knock. Jory Castle entered, cuirass smeared with saddle dust. "A rider from the neck, my lord," Jory said. He handed over a sweat-stained scroll from Howland Reed. Ned broke the seal. The parchment within bore a simple line. "The crannogman hears the reeds rustle. Truth rides the wind. Honor's edge is double. Draw wisely." Ned crushed the letter, trembling. Howland's cryptic counsel, yet unmistakable. Evidence enough to convict a queen and brand heir's bastards. He poured wine and stared into the dark mirror of the goblet. Outside, footsteps thundered. The door flung open. Varys glided in, breathless. "Forgive intrusion, my lord. Prince Joffrey has taken turn for worse. The queen demands your maester forthwith."
Ned stood.
"I sent Maester Coleman." "What ailment now?" Varys spread hands. "Fever consumes him. Young Tommen also flushes scarlet. Some call it shivering sickness." Ned's blood chilled. Two heirs at risk. Was it illness or fate's hand tugging at loose threads? He pulled on cloak. "Lead me." They strode down torchlit corridors to the prince's apartments. Sweet incense masked sickroom stench. Joffrey lay on silk cushions, skin waxy, eye sockets dark. Cersei perched beside him, a lioness poised above a cub, wild with fear masked by fury. Tommen shivered in a second bed, Myrcella weeping quietly. Maester Coleman pressed cool cloths. Cersei looked up as Ned entered. "Is this northern healer physician or butcher?" she hissed. "He cured my son," Ned said evenly. "Let him work." Cersei gripped Joffrey's limp hand. "If my children die, Lord Stark, I will mount your head on a spike beside traitors." Ned met her madness-glazed stare. "Then pray to your seven they live." He remained until moon's arc kissed midnight. The maester brewed elixirs of willow bark, honey, and ginger. Ned watched Joffrey's chest struggle for breath, wondered if the boy sensed the weight of crowns and crimes alike. Hours crawled. Eventually Joffrey's fever broke, sweat beading across brow. Tommen's color improved. Cersei collapsed against cushions, tears streaking coal. Ned slipped away into the corridor. Jaime paced outside, face etched harsh by torchlight. He moved to speak, but Ned raised a hand. "Your sister needs you," he said softly. Jaime's shoulders sagged. "Try not to hate the children," he murmured. "They never chose the sins that sired them." "I do not hate children," Ned said. "I pity them." He turned, cloak whispering lonely truths behind him. Beyond the Blackwater, fires flared along the King's Road. Camps of Tyrell merchant caravans stranded by rumor, Sel's-words drifting like wolves scenting wounded herds. Along the Goldcloak's western patrol route, one such band, 30 ragged but disciplined swords led by a bravosi named Morello spotted a lone rider bearing crimson banner trimmed in gold. They closed, blades half drawn, but reined back when the rider tossed a purse bursting with stags. "For safe passage," she said, voice muffled by cloak's hood. The tallest Sellsword nodded, greed shining. They parted, letting her gallop south. Once out of earshot, Morello slit the purse and found 50 stags. Real coin. His men whooped. None guessed the rider carried a letter from Tywin Lannister to the Queen. A letter promising war chest deep as Casterly mines if she severed the king's authority before his host crossed the Mander. While secrets galloped, Tyrion Lannister indulged in a game of Sivas with Ser Barristan Selmy within the white marbled mess hall of the Kingsguard. The old knight played honorably but predictably. Tyrion sacrificed a dragon to trap a trebuchet, then skewered the king piece 2 moves later.
Ser Barristan Said.
"You have me again, my lord." Tyrion sipped wine.
Tactics, Ser.
"War is seldom won by brute force alone." The knight's lined face tightened. "Let us pray your family remembers that." Tyrion's eyes gleamed. "Send that prayer by Raven. I suspect my father's ears seldom heed such counsel." He pushed back from table. Outside the window, torches bobbed along the battlements. In that flickering glow, he imagined the city as a hearth. Coals glowing red, a single breath away from leaping flame. Robert Baratheon drank himself into slumber, sprawled across silk sheets. Cersei watched him from a velvet chaise, venom distilling behind jade eyes. She recalled Tywin's words from the secret letter that arrived by moonlight. "If the stag falters, drive the blade. The lion's roar will drown the wolves." She folded the parchment into origami of doubt and tucked it within her bodice. When Robert's snores rumbled, she rose, moving silently to the bedside. He reeked of wine, sweat, and the perfumed oils of some flea-bottom tavern girl. Cersei traced a fingertip along the scar at his collarbone. Renegade Boar's mark from the Greyjoy Rebellion. Her lip curled. She could ease a dagger between his ribs with but a sigh. But no, murder would make martyr. Better to strip him of power, leave him breathing but broken. She padded to the window, staring at torch-spotted streets. The city smoldered in quiet unrest. Gold relegated to armor and opulence. Grain stores stretched thin by winter's bite. Small folk anger stirred by rumors of lion greed. One spark could ignite riot. For a moment, fear flickered. A mother's terror for her children lying fevered. But fear stiffened into resolve. A queen protects cubs at any cost. She touched her belly where sometimes phantom kicks of past pregnancies lingered. Children lost to miscarriages unwept except by her private grief. Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen. These 3 must survive. Beyond Blackwater's glitter, Tywin advanced. Within walls, Varys spun webs. Baelish pride cracks into stone. Starks whispered of honor. Cersei Lannister bared her teeth in a silent snarl. Let the game begin. At dawn, Ned donned gray wool and wolf pelt cloak, descending the Tower of the Hand toward the gods wood hidden within the castle's walls. He needed the hush of leaves, the quiet counsel of heart trees, though here the weirwood's face was younger, its eyes unscarred by ancient northern sorrows. He found it at the garden's center, sap white against emerald moss. Kneeling, he whispered prayers to old gods. Protect Bran, shield Sansa and Arya. Guide Jon beyond the wall, temper Robert's wrath, quell lion pride. He spoke of honor weighed against survival. When he rose, he sensed a presence. Varys stepped from shrubbery like a fey spirit, pink silks brushing dew. A lovely morning for contemplation, the eunuch breathed. Ned's jaw tightened. Spies in the gods would now? I seek only conversation. Varys's eyes glittered. The realm turns on fragile hinges, my lord. Push too hard and doors shatter. Ned regarded him. Speak your warning plainly. The eunuch folded hands. Certain factions within the city watch grow restless. Janos Slint has accepted donations, shall we say generous, from Lannister purses. Should violence erupt, their loyalty may waver.
Ned swallowed.
How many men does Slint command? 2,000 within the walls. Another 1,000 man the gates. And how many would stand with the hand? Varys tilted his head. Perhaps 500, if silver flows the right direction. Your northern guard numbers a score.
Ned exhaled.
I must trust in Robert. Men trust kings. Kingdoms trust gold. Varys smiled thinly. Purchase loyalty or lose it. Stark coin is not endless. Yet Stark honor is a rare commodity. Varys stepped back. You may need allies beyond wolves and stags. With that, the master of whisperers melted into foliage. Ned stared after him, mind churning. Allies? Who? Renly? The Tyrells? Even Littlefinger's sly cunning? Each alliance carried barbs. A raven's croak interrupted thought. A black bird perched above, head cocked. Ned sighed. Messages waiting, decisions mounting. That same day, Jaime Lannister departed the capital, armored knights thundering behind. Tyrion watched from his balcony, a bittersweet knot tugging his gut. He raised a goblet. May your tongue parry sharper than your blade, brother. The procession vanished beyond city walls. Tyrion turned to find Bran. Lean Sellsword gained during captivity, lounging in doorway. Fancy a wager? Tyrion asked. Bran shrugged. On what? Whether Jaime returns with our father or with his head. Bran smirked. You'd collect either way, Halfman. One's gold, one's pity. And pity buys drinks at least. Tyrion downed his wine. Jaime's ride west was swift, but not swift enough to outrun dread. Nights he dreamt of Bran Stark's fall. Over and over, the boy's arms flailing, sky turning, crack of impact. Each dawn he woke with sweat chilling his spine. At a village near Maidenpool, townsfolk greeted him with silence, small children hiding behind skirts. Word of burned farms carried on winter wind. Jaime felt the gulf grow between lion honor and realm's fear. At Crackclaw Point, he met a courier. Lord Tywin's host had shifted south, no longer stationary at Ashmark. Instead, they marched along Gold Road toward King's Landing, 40,000 strong, banners bright. Jaime spurred his horse double pace. Back in the Red Keep, Ned summoned Renly Baratheon after dusk. They sat in a solar overlooking Darkling Gardens. You urged me to act upon rumor, Ned began. He slid Howland's letter across the table. I have proof, blood proof, that Robert's heirs were fathered by another. Renly's face tightened. He read the line, eyes widening. Mother of mercy, I will confront Robert, Ned said. Renly's fingers drummed. And if Robert denies? If he clings to love or pride? Then I must stand. Renly pushed back, pacing. Convict the Queen and the Lannisters revolt. Convict the heirs and realm fractures. You need support Storm's End, Highgarden. Will you lend your banners? Ned asked. Renly hesitated. Give me 2 days. I will speak with Lord Mace Tyrell. His daughter Marjorie might mend Robert's broken heart. He met Ned's gaze. But you must move quickly. Cersei senses shadows. Ned inclined head. As Renly departed, Littlefinger emerged from corridor gloom. You court new partners, my lord. Careful, they dance to different tunes. I would hear your counsel, Ned said, though bile rose. Baelish smiled. My counsel is coin. Janos Slint sells swords to high bidder. Provide a purse and the city watch stands with you. Without them, Cersei owns the gates. Name your price. 80,000 dragons. Littlefinger's eyes glittered. Outrageous. Baelish shrugged. Loyalty is priceless only until paid for. Ned thought of treasury near empty, Robert's debts, Winter's demands. He nodded slowly. Half now, half when Slint proves true. Littlefinger bowed. As you wish, Lord Stark. On the third night after Jaime's departure, Bran stared out Winterfell's window at snow-cloaked courtyards. A raven landed on the sill, feathers ruffled by gusts. Tied to its leg, a scrap of parchment. Bran untied the string, fingers trembling. The scribble said only, Fly, little wolf. Wings remember. He looked skyward. In the distance, beyond the broken tower, a wolf howled. Bran closed his eyes. In the dark inside him, He felt bones reshape, skin stretch, feathers sprout. He soared over white fields, following ghost light towards some distant tree older than time. When his eyes opened again, he was back, panting. "Mother," he whispered to empty room. "I must fly." In King's Landing, bells clanged, high, insistent. Ned jerked awake, sword within reach. A squire burst in. "Sir!" Riot in Flea Bottom. Bread stores looted. Ned shrugged on cloak, following guards through winding alleys lit by silver moon. Small folk poured from hovels, torches raised, shouting bread for babes. Gold cloaks formed lines but held steel. Stones flew, and one guard fell with cracked skull. Ned pushed forward, ordering restraint, but chaos boiled. Suddenly a rider appeared waving a crimson flag. Whispers hissed a gift from the queen. Barrels broke open, loaves scattering. The mob cheered Cersei's mercy.
Ned åt, sensing stridskraft.
Provide hunger, then feed it, win hearts. He returned to Castle furious. Next morning Robert roared into the council chamber, hungover. "What is this rot?" I opened the gate to find beggars chanting Cersei's name. Pycelle wrung hands. Her grace distributed grain from Casterly granaries. Robert rounded on her. "Stay your charity from my city unless I command it." Cersei's smile sliced. "Would you rather they eat royal debts?" Robert's fist slammed table. "Enough. Tomorrow I hunt. I will kill something and remind myself I'm king." Ned stepped forward, heart hammering. "Your Grace, we must discuss the matter of succession." "Tomorrow," Robert growled and stormed out. Cersei met Ned's gaze, triumph curling her lips. He felt the walls closing. As dawn gilded the river anew, Ned penned a letter to Stannis Baratheon, absent Lord of Dragonstone. "Your brother's children are bastards born of incest. Return to claim rightful throne." He sealed direwolf wax and entrusted it to Tomard with orders to sail at once. Later he met with Sansa and Arya, embracing them, telling them to pack quietly. They would depart for Winterfell within 2 days. Sansa's face crumpled, but she nodded. Arya asked if she could bring needle. "Yes," he said, "and keep it sharp." That night, thunder growled across horizon. Within the Red Keep's walls, conspiracies thickened. Varys listened to Nell the washerwoman speak of dead rats found in holy water near September. Poison experiment. Littlefinger counted coins, smiled at ledgers. Renly departed in secret with Ser Loras Tyrell, riding for Storm's End. In her bedchamber, Cersei pressed wax to parchment. "Execute the game at dawn." She handed the scroll to a tall, hooded man. Ser Island Payne's pale eyes shone beneath cowl. On the morn of King Robert's hunt, sun broke flaming red. Omens whispered. Ned found the king in courtyard, quiver slung, spear in hand, ale already on breath. "Careless to ride drunk, sire?" Ned urged. Robert laughed bitterly. "I kill boar better when I cannot see straight. Makes them seem smaller." He mounted, armor clanking. "Keep my realm, hand, and keep my wife at heel." He galloped through the gate, retinue following.
Ned åt dustsettel.
Then he turned to duties. He would visit city watch barracks, deliver coin, ensure loyalty before council at noon. Sansa and Arya would board a fishing cog at dusk. Plans spun like Will Gearing. But when he reached Gold Cloak Barracks, Janos Slynt greeted him with oily smile. "Your coin accepted, M-Lord. My men stand ready." Ned nodded, relief swelling. Yet as he rode back across Market Square, he felt eyes on him. Ragged children crouched beneath stalls, washerwomen whispering. Word of golden coin traded for loyalty had leaked. Precarious foundation. In his solar he found Peter Baelish waiting, expression grave. "A complication," Littlefinger murmured. "The queen knows of your plan to ship your daughters." "How?" "Spies in every shadow." Peter sighed. "She demands you bring them before her this evening for prayer vigil." Trap, Ned thought. He paced. "Then I must accelerate." Peter placed a hand on Ned's arm. "Trust me, I can spirit your girls to a fast ship at dusk, but I require ownership of the city watch." Slynt wavers. Ned's eyes narrowed. Another purse. Consider it insurance. Littlefinger's smile was faint. Gold wins wars before swords start them. Ned closed his eyes, measured breaths. At last he nodded. Half again. No more. Done. Peter bowed. Now rest, my lord. Council at noon. Noon bells tolled. Ned walked into the throne room flanked by 6 Northmen. He found Cersei enthroned in Robert's absence, flanked by Joffrey, recently recovered Myrcella and Tommen. Pycelle, Varys, Slynt, and Barristan stood by. Littlefinger lurked near archway. Ned approached steps. Your Grace, he addressed Cersei, though his eyes held Joffrey. We await King Robert's safe return. Cersei's grin betrayed teeth. We are the crown in his stead. Ned produced a scroll, Robert's own seal granting him regency. By the king's decree, I speak with his voice. Cersei waved delicate hand. Words on parchment while the king hunts boar? Paper has never ruled iron.
Ned inhaled. Iko me bering dire truth.
Stand aside, and let us prevent calamity. Joffrey sneered. Bow before your rightful king. Ned's gaze hardened. You are no king. Gasps rippled. Slynt's hand drifted to sword. Ned unfolded Howland Reed's letter, voice steady. Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen. Born of Jaime Lannister's seed, not Robert Baratheon's. Their claim false. Cersei rose, silk slithering. Lies. Let each child's hair be bled. Lion gold reveals itself. Ned pressed. Chaos erupted. Joffrey shouted. Pycelle wheezed. Barristan frozen. Cersei hissed. Seize him. Janos Slynt barked to Goldcloaks. Ned's 6 guards closed ranks. But Goldcloaks advanced toward Ned. Littlefinger stepped behind him, whispering, I warned you. Betrayal flashed cold as northern ice. Ned drew steel. The throne room exploded, steel rang. Men shouted. Northmen fell beneath billhook blows. Jory Castle staggered, blood spraying. Ned parried a spear, roared for Slynt to honor pact, but Goldcloaks encircled. Littlefinger's dagger pressed to Ned's neck. I did warn you not to trust me, he murmured. Cersei descended steps, gaze aflame. Take him to the black cells. Ned's blade clattered. Pain radiated from leg where point of a spear tore flesh. His men lay slain or groaning. Slynt's cloak dripped red. Barristan Selmy watched, face carved of stone, but unmoving, kingless, oath-bound. As guards hauled Ned upright, Joffrey leaned close, breath sour. When I am king, I'll have your head. Ned met the boy's eyes. Robert's eyes? No, Lannister green overshadowed by cruelty. He whispered, Winter is coming. They dragged him away. In the Tower of the Hand, Arya Stark balanced on toes, sword raised, practicing water dancer steps. She heard boots pounding and a maid's shriek. Outside, Goldcloaks stormed corridor. Needles slid into sheath. She ducked under bed, heart racing. Sansa, escorted to Queen's apartments, wept at news. Her father arrested for treason. Cersei stroked her hair with mock tenderness, promising all would be well if Sansa wrote a letter to Robb, bidding him swear fealty to King Joffrey. Sansa, trembling, agreed. Deep in dungeons, Ned lay on stone, irons biting wrists. Damp air smelled of mold and despair. Yet through pain he felt clarity. Bran alive. Arya must flee. Robb must guard the north. He whispered their names to fetid air. Above, bells tolled again. Robert's hunting party returning. But Robert did not ride at its head. Instead his horse dragged. Rider slumped. Bortusk lodged beneath breastplate. Blood-soaked velvet. Cersei rushed to his side in courtyard. Robert's eyes rolled white. He gasped. Wine strong. Grand Maester Pycelle hurried. They bore the king to bed. Cersei leaned close, whispering sweet nothings. Robert's fingers clutched hers weakly. At midnight he died. The realm shuddered. Ravens screamed into starless sky. Somewhere far north, a dire wolf lifted its head and howled. A sound that carried beyond walls of men, through frozen forests and dead lands, herald of long nights yet to come. In the black cells, Ned Stark felt something break. Perhaps chains, perhaps hope, he could not tell. But in the darkness, he heard a flutter of wings, and he remembered Howland's words. Honor's edge is double. Draw wisely. He closed his eyes and saw Bran standing on a high branch, looking down at a golden knight. The dream shifted. The knight knelt, offered an open hand. Wolves circled, and the world waited, breathless, for the next move upon this vast and perilous board.